right. Let's turn this down a little bit since we're going to be talking now. It's loud for me. Give me a sound check on the things. Feeding the dog. Does that count? Aw. Technically a snack. You're right. You're right. 100%. Alrighty. So we are talking about Artemis. We are continuing our book club today. Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods by Jason Mankey. And this chapter is Artemis. We actually have 2 sections in this chapter for the personal story. So and per usual, those are individual personal stories. We won't really be covering much of them at all, but we do have some interesting aspects of Artemis to talk about. Some of which I had to do research on. No, not my snack. We are not sponsored by apples and peanut butter, but if we were, they'd want us to eat apples and peanut butter on this stream. So we're gonna pretend that we are with our imaginary money. But if you would like to actually support Helena Carroll, you can follow us on all our various social medias. Let me go ahead and grab some of those links for y'all. And of course, we have a Patreon. We are also very gracious, very grateful for our Pegasus boosters. I know, right? Research and Hellenism? How crazy. I was literally talking in Gate last night with some people, and they were like, "Oh, there's so much research," and I was like, "Well, we have a resource library of over 1,500 like titles," and the person was like, "There's so much," and I was like, "I know, we all felt it. We've all been there." And we're just like, I legitimately want to go after a religious studies degree, and I still think that like I'll be sitting there at like 90 years old being like, there's so much to read. Alright, so what is it? Oh yeah, we do have amazing boosters in the server, but we don't need any more boosts. We have everything that we could need, including custom icons, the server tag being able to have a bazillion different emojis and stickers, as well as being able to stream in HD, and we are very grateful to our Pegasus boosters for that. But if you did want to support monetarily, we do have a Patreon. Find us on Patreon, and you'll be able to help us support with having the Minecraft server, the website, and pretty much anything that isn't on Discord, specifically. I have a lot of crap around me. Guess what Victoria's doing after this? Cleaning her desk. So I love how we start off with, like, unlike all the other goddesses, which I want to point out that, like, when they say youth, like, they're talking, like, child, like, teenager, or, like, I think, like, like, 20s, something like that, like, really young, not, like, oh, like, the youthful beauty and stuff, because we do mention Aphrodite in about 3 seconds. So Artemis exists in a state of perpetual youth and virginity, while Hera, Demeter, Aphrodite, etc. were always depicted as fully grown adult women. Even like Persephone, who is a daughter of Demeter and is depicted very often as a young maiden, is not the same. She's still a little bit more older because she does get married, right? She does have kids. We're going to address this later on. Exactly, below marriage age, basically. But remember, marriage age back then was really young. Is a lot younger than the average marriage age now. And I want to know what the average marriage age was. (14 to 18). Honestly, I'm not as upset about that. Because there are places where they would get married a lot younger. But could be better. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I should probably actually have the chat open. It's probably a smart idea. Just have the actual chat open. Sorry, it gets really hot in my room. Okay, so around 14 to 18. I love this because they mention this as well, and like many young people, Artemis was quick to anger. Bitch, I think we just dissed half the server. Like many young people. I love that. That was great. When I started reading this chapter, I laughed my ass off. I was like, oh my gosh, how rude. I love it. Yeah, there's a lot to be angry about. I mean, there's always been a lot to be angry about. I'm sure back then it was awful in a variety of other ways. Sorry, I'm cleaning my glasses. All right, so we moved on really quick because I was like, I read the bit and I was like, eh. But the ancient temple of Artemis at Ephesus, I'm saying that way, I don't care, was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Love this. New thing to put on my bucket list. Thank you. Panic. It's more like give up. So Artemis was also one of the oldest deities of Greeks appearing in the Linear B tablet. And we talked a little bit. There are 2 tablets that give us a lot of information about ancient Greece and the gods, and that is Linear A and Linear B. One of them was made on like inland, and one of them was on an island. And so, but despite Artemis's appearance on the Linear B tablets, again, the origins were debated. And the controversy is like still to this day. A lot of people are like so many of the gods. I don't know why we don't just consider this like a normal thing now, because I think more of the gods have multiple origin stories, you know, because DC just couldn't decide. So I think it should just be considered more the common than the not at this juncture. At least for the Olympians. DC joke. You think that was bad? I'm gonna just sidetrack on a terrible DC joke for a minute. What was it? I can't remember the name of the movie. It was one of the last ones. It was one where one of the main characters died. And I was doing talks at that point, and my talk also contained nothing new then. I know, right? It also contained spoilers for what I was talking about, but was not. It was nerdy, but it was not relevant specifically to that movie or to movies at all. And I was like, "All right, everyone, we're gonna get spoilers." It's like, everyone good? Spoilers. Tony Stark dies and like runs away behind the table. Like literally, I did that so much. It was so funny. Only a few times did people groan and be like, "No." It was well after the movie came out, though, so. I love making jokes referencing, like, DC and Marvel shit. Someone was legitimately mad, but I was like, dude, the movie came out, like, a year ago. You can't be mad about this. Like, I literally said that on stage. I was like, no. But yeah, like, there was... Artemis has, like, multiple backstories, apparently. And also is often conflated, merged, used the same names interchangeably of other deities, which we're going to mention, of course. The Roman name Diana. And the Romans believed her worship originated in Crete or Ephesus. I don't know. and the latter of which was located across the Aegean Sea from Greece, which is now present-day Turkey. But a lot of modern scholars believe that she was imported from Anatolia, which is actually the one that I have heard the most. But she is also a syncretic goddess, and we're gonna establish as to why later. But yeah, it's mentioned. I'm not gonna mention it now. It's gonna be in the chapter. But no matter, of course, Artemis's attributes very similar to the other deities that we've talked about, where they're also combined with, conflated, whatever, with another deity. They tend to retain a lot of their aspects. Basically, call them whatever the fuck you want. Artemis still likes to go in the woods and run with the animals. Zeus still likes storms and rain, right? You know, potato, potato. My name's Victoria, but if you call me V, I'm still gonna like anime and be a weird motherfucker. Right? Boom. So, despite, like, this is also, this upcoming part is, remember, I love the balance and the contrast, because I think it's very real. Although we love animals, and Artemis loved and protected animals, she did also eat meat. Bitch was not a vegan, okay? But she also protected a lot of the youngest and most vulnerable animals. So it's like, it's the circle of life. I don't know. But she isn't just a goddess of hunting. She's also by proxy of living that life in balance. She's a goddess of responsible hunting. So she's not just going out there being like, haha, target practice. She's going out there being like, I'm hungry and something's gotta die, but you know, it's the circle of life, even though she's a goddess. Yeah. And we quickly go into a little bit about other aspects of her, which is that Artemis was definitely no stranger to same-sex encounters. She had a lot of nymphs that she was friends with. Some of them she was roommates, quote unquote. Sorry, I had to bring that joke up. But this is obviously based on the story of Zeus turning into, or not turning into, but like making himself appear to be Artemis to seduce Callisto. They were tent mates. Oh my gosh, yes, I love it. Yes, hunting with minimal pain, using all the animal. Yes, exactly. I am very much like, a lot of people I know are very much like, oh, like I could never kill an animal, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, no, don't. That's not yours. Tempo, that's not for you. Excuse me while I chastise my cat. She keeps trying to take over my boy cat's spots, and I don't like it. Here, you can have your own towel. Leave him to his. Jesus. Ridiculous. The two of you. You're always at such odds. You know, you guys need to take a lesson from Apollo and Artemis and, like, chill out and, like, be cool around each other. Like, come on. To be fair, my other cat's name is Dionysus, so not at all. That's not gonna happen. Here, well, since we have a two-cat situation and we've already interrupted the stream, there you go. Y'all get to see the adorable little bitch who keeps trying to steal her brother's spots. And there's him, asleep, as usual. So, yes, let's see. Let me go back and look at the other. Kinda sleepy. Why are the gods so sexually active with humans? I mean, look, someone's got to make demigods. There ain't a lot to go around. There's only, you know, you gotta have genetic diversity. That's like a real thing. Like, if you don't have enough genetic diversity, there's more likely to be illnesses and ailments. Oh, no worries. Let's see here. I love tent mates too. Considering V would go hunting. V is just broke. I've gone to the gun range. I'm not a bad shot. Like, I would like to practice archery more. That would be better. But there isn't a lot of places where you can get free archery classes. But I genuinely believe that, like, right there, like, responsible hunting is the thing. Like, we honor something died. Honor that. Don't be wasteful, right? Archery would be awesome. Archery would be great for me because like I think it's really good for like a lot of people, like in general. Go do healthy things. Go do fitness. But like archery is really great because it does teach a lot of like it's a lot of what was it? My brain is dead. Strength training and it's resistance training. So Becky, look, that's more archery than I got, Alex. That's yep. Also, hi, Akalon. Exactly. Remember, kids, learn from the indigenous people who use the whole animal, bones and all. In fact, fun fact about bones in the ancient world, there is a leather making tool that is made of bone. And the reason that it is so good is because as you use it, like there's something about it that like as you use it, it gets better at its job somehow. I can't fucking remember. But there was a article I remember that was about it where like people were like experts were like, what is this? What is this? What? And they couldn't find it. And for some reason, someone happened to see it and know because their friend like had something similar and they worked with leatherworking. And so that some experts went and were like, why? And they were like, yeah, no, it's this stupid ass tool. We still use bone tools like this to this day because there's nothing better. My tribe family was from they use much of moose bones. Oh, cool. Big animals make toboggans and stuff. Wow. Antlers used in flint napping and I don't know what flint napping is, but arrowheads, dope. Yes. I can definitely see why after, thinking about antlers and what they look like and the shape. Bones of eagles and common wolves. Wow. I actually saw eagle for the first time like last year. It was awesome. It was insane. But yeah, bone is actually a really interesting like substance. It's really useful. Uh-huh. In Alaska. Also, hi, kind of sleepy. I know. There were so many in Alaska. In Juneau. Oh, it's shaping. Okay. It's shaping the arrowhead. Flint napping. Y'all heard it here. I love obsidian arrowheads. I think they look really cool. Okay, let's see. They were American tourists. Eagles being American tourists. That's funny. Let's see here. So we have another aspect of or different aspect of Artemis. Like I always like it's one of those things where this makes sense. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if you had asked me name like aspects of Artemis, like being a deity of transitions would not have come up in my brain, like at all. Oh, I'm sure. So blah, my brain. So one of the reasons for Artemis's perpetual virginity may have been her role as a Greek deity of transitions. Continuously living on the cusp of full adulthood suggests a deity perpetually stuck in the moment of transformation. So she's also a goddess of midwives, which I thought was funny. I was like, yeah, she is the protector of young girls. We love, I know, multifaceted gods and goddesses, absolutely. She's a goddess of midwives, and I love this because there was a story. Here it is. In one Roman story, she was so proficient in the skill that she was a midwife for her mother Leto when her brother Apollo was born. And I'm like, I literally read that and I just remembered like I was there with my mom when my younger brother was being born. I was like the most hyped bitch in the family for this baby. Like, I was there. It was over 20 hours of labor. I did not leave the room. Except to go pee, obviously. But, like, I was so hyped. As someone who's been through it, a lot less hyped. Like, been through being there, not having kids. Lot less hyped. I agree. There isn't enough protectors of young girls. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Artemis is like, okay, I'm here. I'm born now. What do we need help with? I'm here. What's up? Sees her mom and goes, I'm gonna go help. That makes sense that Apollo has a role of protecting young boys. That makes sense. So with this notion, like, to be considered an adult woman in ancient Greece, you had to be both married and have given birth. Which seems dumb, but does that mean if you don't have kids, then you're still a young woman? I'm just saying, asking for a friend. You know, I'm not old. No, the median age of the server is definitely not in the teens. No, I'm not old. Go walk your little cyclops. Remember, like, no eating people, especially polities. Polities. That was the best Greek joke. I need to clip that. That was actually good. And a widow too. There you go. Yeah, that does track. Based on thinking, yeah. So, Artemis oversaw that transition between maidenhood and bride. Parthenos and Nymphet? I don't know. I feel like the accent thing on the E deserves its own. It's not nymph. It's nym. Yeah, it's got probably has a sound. And the final transition means both wife and mother. So I love that, like, we have this etymology aspect to it. Oh, that's so sweet. Like, kids' toys. Like, oh, this is I'm giving up the childhood to do, like, the adult, like, that's cute. That's super sweet. And of course, she was a goddess of women. Makes sense. I do love that you mentioned that her brother had a mirrored role, Alex, because similarly, Artemis had a mirrored role, Apollo being like the healer, although he is also a deity of like plagues and shit. But Artemis has that as well. So she was goddess of plagues. In the myth, she often demanded human sacrifice to end such afflictions. Again, there's no evidence that actually happened. This might be why people are like, oh, they're gonna human sacrifice. It's like, no. We were just look. This is dramatized. You know, you're getting the story secondhand. Of course, we're gonna add in some embellishments, some spice, right? Make it tasty. Yeah, the Iliad. Yep. So, this also includes her being a goddess of infant mortality. This, I swear to God, this hurt my feelings. We're just gonna say it and then we're gonna move past it. Because I was like really choked up last night, but I was like, okay, so it's believed that her gentle arrows took the lives of birthing mothers and their babies. And I was just like, bleh. Yeah, I know that in depiction in retellings of like or whatever, when they mention human sacrifice, that it's not often, and it's not like, yay, we're sacrificing the human. I don't know why like people think that's the way it is. Like, literally, it was recent that someone talked about human sacrifice. I can't remember what server it was in. I don't think it was in ours. I think it was in another one or someplace else that people were like, oh, but like that stuff, and I'm like, dude, no. Like, there's literally no evidence of this, like, almost ever. That's too, and I love that even death can be a mercy. there's an episode of Xena Warrior Princess where they have captured Hades' sister, or I can't remember who it was, somebody, who was in charge of gathering the souls and stuff. And when the human, because the human captured it because he didn't want to die, but then it stopped all death. And one would, and we start off with, of course, thinking that like, oh, this is going to be a great thing. But Xena knows, because Xena was in battle, right? And saw a lot of people get hurt really bad. And so there is this, and one of the characters we get to know in the episode, literally was dead, or like literally 3 seconds, dead. And then, didn't die and was in like a lot of pain. And we find that aspect of that death can sometimes be a mercy. Because not all, I don't know how to say this nicely. Sometimes it's just cruel. People, yeah, like there's horrible, exactly, the world would start to get overpopulated with the people in horrible pain, the sick, the old, the ones who can't. I could see Artemis as a hospice goddess, 100%. I could definitely see that. And Hermes freedom from the jar. No, that might be a different episode, Mercury. I'm the one that I'm thinking of. It was a goddess, and they had like basically rigged a chair to trap her, which was really interesting because I realize now, I go, she's a goddess. Like, she could have just bopped out of there, but like maybe it was special. I don't remember all the details. And like they took her candle, and basically if she wasn't holding the candle will eventually burn down and go out, and that's when she would die, and then the world would be free of death. And so yeah. Oh, the actual myth. Sorry, I'm talking about the episode specifically because I think a lot of people know the episode. It's also a really good example. Anyway, but yes, so death is not always bad. My cat is mad at me because I'm not paying attention to her. I went and looked this up for this next paragraph, okay? It was dope. It was funny as hell. Come on, no. Go away. Go away. There we go. So Artemis was also an unlikely, I don't know why unlikely, but unlikely fertility goddess. The most famous expressions of Artemis as a fertility goddess are representations of her from Ephesus. Most famous was the multitude of breasts the goddess appears to have in such images. I got the image. There it is. I have it. Let me show it on screen. Let me show it for the I should just copy it in for the chat. Copy, paste. But it's not actually boobs. Let me show it on stream too. Give me a second, guys. There it is. Of course, it's right where the book is blocking. That's so funny. Nope. That one. There we go. So you guys can see it on stream too. So this is the statue, and like I guess people have thought that this is like boobs, but like the placement is weird, y'all, which makes sense because it's not actually that. And let me just switch this back. Modern Witchcraft, and let me just switch this back for you guys. Oh no, that's right. Avocados for sure. So funny, Mercury. So what they are is actually like leather pouches. Where was it? The many breasts of Artemis are not breasts at all, but like leather bags known as kursas, which were filled with items to promote fertility and abundance. Just carrying a lot of gifts and like lucky charms, I guess. Where's my... There it is. Avocados are good. Yeah, goat skin milks, no. Yeah, so like that makes sense. It's just like, do you? Okay, here's the reference. I found it. In Mulan, the animated one. Remember how, if anyone watched it, her grandmother is like, here's a jade necklace for beauty, and she's like, I'm gonna tie this cricket onto your side. Think of it like that. Think of the, instead of cricket, they're just like leather pouches of things. It's something for good luck. It's something to promote success and fertility and abundance. Charm bags. Yes, thank you. So here's where we talk about the syncretism. My brain, you guys. So over centuries, Artemis absorbed a variety of elements from other goddesses, right? Most notably the association with the Roman Diana, which means bright one. Artemis became the goddess of the moon, replacing Selene in both poetry and art. We love Selene. Artemis is also sometimes shown carrying a torch, a tool most associated with Hecate, right? Hecate was also a lunar deity. Good job, Mercury. Good job. 1 second. Oh my gosh, sorry. I needed to someone was at my door and then I sneezed and my face hurt. Oh my goodness. I love that you put the quote from Mulan in there. That was great. Amazing. Amazing, Mercury. It's a great OG movie. Okay, so this is where like I said, there's a lot we're mentioning, talking about the synchronism and Artemis being associated with Hecate and Selene, or rather the other way around. Let me see here. I actually did. I looked it up. Book Club. There we are. Okay, so. In regards to Artemis being a syncretic goddess, there's pre-Greek and indigenous. I'm just gonna read a bunch of shit that's not in the book right now, because I did research for it. I'm proud of it, kind of. So, pre-Greek and indigenous origins. As we mentioned, Artemis may have been associated or has a birth story that goes back to Anatolian and even Minoan goddesses. So there may have been some absorbing of like attributes, from that, very similarly to how, again, we've mentioned in the past. Research, I know, right? This was absolutely mentioned in the book that I've never finished, Greek Religion by Walter Burkert. And I actually have the book to go look it up. What? There's also that. Hold on. There's like a bunch of sources. Because of the fact that she had a rather broad breadth of a domain, that's also one of the reasons that it was thought that like she took on aspects from other deities. Yes, so that is, Alex, that is correct. That's exactly how it should be seen. They are, they are the representations or the protectors of the sun and the moon, Apollo and Artemis, respectively. And Helios and Selene are personifications. Why is my thing going off? Are personifications of the actual things themselves. Yes. Yes, it is this. I mean, look, it's the same with Hercules, with Hermes, also, Zeus, and Dionysus. Dionysus has Mycenaean. Can we pick words that don't all start with M? That's all I'm asking. Like it's Mycenaean, Minoan, Mesopotamian. Can we just pick a different one? Making my life hard, guys. But it was also, again, very similarly sharing's caring. That's true. Actually, it is like a potluck. I really actually enjoy the fact that, and I say it this way, I love that the gods have all these different aspects to them and that they share a lot of attributes, because to me, it's like, oh, Artemis is busy today. That's okay. Athena's gonna help today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, they probably have lives. Shit that they want to get done. Maybe they're just enjoying watching the soap opera of our lives. That's actually kind of funny. I can just imagine like the gods sitting in front of it like a amazingly ornate TV and just flipping through. They're like, the days of Mercury. I'm sorry. When Mercury's in retrograde. Alex the amused. V the very confused. It just flipping through. Right? Yep. So there's also local, a lot of local cults and variations and epithets that Artemis ended up being associated with. A lot of the deities were honored. Not all deities were honored everywhere. A lot of the times it was very localized. There were some that were honored pretty much everywhere universally. Hestia, Zeus, But then there were others that, like, for example, Poseidon or Athena, that were more or less honored in certain areas. Because life. So she had a cult in Attica. I don't know the word. In Attica. Also, one of Artemis's cults was heavily associated with Sparta and specifically like endurance trials, which makes sense. Ephesus, of course. We've already mentioned it like 2-3 times. People also, by the way, thought that what they thought was many-breasted. They did think. I remember actually learning about this in art history in college. That people thought it may have been eggs. As a sign of fertility, or like beehives, because bees were also associated with fertility. I agree that Zeus delegates. That's a great thought. And Ares rolling up, man, Zeus couldn't make it, so it's my turn. I love that. Yes, I think that they help out. I think they help out each other. I would also be I'd be like more concerned, like, why did you come instead of Zeus? Should I be scared? So we just talked about how Artemis has been associated and often syncretized, whatever, with other deities like Selene, Hecate, but also there is a goddess of childbirth whose name I cannot fucking say, and it starts with an E. I'm gonna try. It's gonna suck. Why is there so many EIs? There's like 3 of them. And there's a YIA. That's just cruel. So many vowels? Yeah, vowels. I haven't used that word in ages. Actually, Alethea? Alethea. I don't know. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. But is a goddess of childbirth. And then there's Bendis, who's a Thracian goddess. And the cults were similar, and they were often worshipped together. So that's another reason as to why that some of the attributes became associated with Artemis. Yeah. Right? We're just gonna assume that that's the right way to say it. Shh. No one's here to correct me, so. Wait, did I? So we're popping off to the. Elethia. Thank you. See? Elethia. Elethia. You guys see me like freaking making my mouth work properly. Anyway, what that mouth do? Not say words correctly. That's for sure. Oi. To Ovid, Diana became was a triple goddess. But I like this because it's not in the same way that you would think of the triple goddess, right? Being made in Mother Crone, but instead it's just a so another way of saying multifaceted and breaking up. You shush, Mercury. Breaking basically Diana or Artemis's domain into 3 sections. Glimpse through modern Greek. Oh, cool. I definitely want to learn Greek at some point, but it's because I want to be a polyglot, like a fluent polyglot. Which means I know I think it means 3 or 4 or more languages. And unfortunately, ancient Greek and ancient Greece would not be the most modern day useful ones. So I've ordered them by usefulness. Diana being the triple goddess was being a triple goddess represented in the heavens, Luna, the moon, the earth, Diana, Artemis, and the land of the dead, Hecate. So the Diana, Luna, Hecate combination was represented also as the 3 phases of the moon, the crescent moon. I hate this song. It's grating. Diana is the crescent moon, Luna the full moon, and Hecate the new moon. Right? Mood. Your Hermes is showing. I think that would be you gotta use that. Your Hermes is showing someplace else. I have to think about it. That's a great line. So Diana's connection with witchcraft was actually then further reinforced by her being one of the very few Olympian deities and the only female one that was mentioned in the Christian New Testament. Did I find the quote? Yes! Where is it? Victoria doesn't remember. Oh, come on, where is it? Seriously. I went and looked the whole thing up. I don't think I put it in book club. I looked it up. Wait, where is it? Seriously, there was a whole chart and everything. I did the thing. Where did I put it? It's like a whole fucking chart. Maybe I saved it in a Google Doc. Alright. Let me find it. Too late. I found the fucking quote. Fuck you, Mercury. I'm just gonna search. That's really annoying, actually. So everyone, it's getting to that point of the day where it's getting stupid hot in my room and I need to put a fan on. Where's my video? There we go. Shut that off for a second. Move shit around in my room. Today is going to be the day where I fix the room AC because, yes. So, Artemis was mentioned, with Paul. It describes, how Paul's preaching in, Ephesus, whatever. The line is, when they heard this, they were furious and began shouting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." And that is in Act 19:28. And there's also mentions of Zeus and Hermes as well in the Bible. Paul has problems with Hermes and and Artemis. Paul in the Bible is apparently bitching a bunch about Artemis. I actually don't physically own a Bible anymore, so I would have to actually physically go buy one or get one to check. But yes. So Diana was mentioned in the New Testament along with Zeus and Hermes. There you go. There's Hermes. Hermes was mentioned in 1412, and it had to do with someone calling Paul. Let's see. They called Paul Hermes because he was the chief speaker. So basically, they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna pretend. We're gonna give you the nickname." So I thought that was pretty funny. But it was in the beginning of the Renaissance that Artemis was pictured more as this wild person, like this carefree goddess of hunt, and like, which is actually the image that a lot of people see of Artemis as far as the physical painting. That's the one where she's in the wood and she has her bow and she's kind of like looking to the side. It's one of the more common depictions of Artemis in I wouldn't call it ancient art, but in art. I like this. Can we highlight this? Because like Victoria says this all the time. If the gods have agency in the world, this also implies that they can grow and change. If humans can grow, why can't gods? Just saying. Something I say a lot. Mercury is in Gatorade. I love that. Yes, that's a really good point there. If they didn't change, it would imply that certain things just belong to none of the gods, like the internet. Which is a bit of a godless wasteland. That's true. Yes, Hermes is definitely the god of the internet. I agree. That's called SPG. Thieving. I love that. Place for communication, trading, commerce, thievery. It is the modern agora. You're right. That's a good point. See. I love the way that it ends. So who are we to tell a deity that they must be preserved in amber just as they were 2,400 years ago in Athens? I love that. That's a great quote, and I want it. That's, yes. Chef's kiss. So there's also the Aradia. Aradia was a book that was written by American folklorist Charles Godfrey Leland. And it is allegedly a collection of witchcraft mythology and spells from a group practicing in the witches of Italy's Tuscany region. This, they believed it was sort of like a long-lasting Italian magical tradition, but it mentions Diana a lot. And apparently is mentioned in pretty much all the spells. And Deanna is hailed as Queen of the Witches. So like, even though that like they were saying like, even though Aradia is like the main person in the book, quote unquote, Deanna's in there kicking ass. But Deanna from the book is unique in the way that not only does she marry, but she also has kids, and the portrayal of it is vastly different than the Greek and Roman Deanna or Artemis. This book also helped announce the rebirth of witchcraft in the modern world, and henceforth retying Diana or Artemis to the notion of witchcraft, to witchcraft. Now we do have the personal stories in regards to Artemis. We have where's the person's name? One is from Winston Philpeck, who is from Wisconsin, and the other one is from Meg Rosenbrer, who's a hedge witch living in Connecticut. She is the co-founder of Witch With Me and the author of The Healing Power of Witchcraft. We do have some spells, and I wanted to note this here because in ancient Greece, Artemis protected women and girls from harm. In the modern age, many people believe Artemis assists all marginalized and or vulnerable people. I would agree. Especially in the LGBTQ community, also being a goddess of transitions, a goddess of understanding that wild, like, natural... How do I say this? You're a different person when you're alone in the woods than when you are walking in the city. Connecting to that is different. And I think as someone who understands that natural state of being, and there's like a whole bunch of science that like basically, go touch grass is a real scientific thing. It will freaking actually help you mentally. And so we do have to kind of remember to go back to our natural state, remember the natural world and how we are in it, as opposed to the stresses of modern day society where we are so disconnected from each other and the earth. I think being a goddess who understands being the you that is you outside of society, outside of the modern day problems and things that prevent us from being connected to ourselves and to the earth, the gods, nature, not just, our phones and shit, which, don't get me wrong, I am not a nature girly, y'all. I will advocate for this shit, but I am not a nature girly. I have never once physically gone camping. I don't like bugs. No, thank you. I'm good. Yes, like brainwaves do change during meditation. Exactly. Being a goddess of transitions and of being like your natural self outside of the influences of everything else, I think absolutely she would be a protector of those who are marginalized and vulnerable, those who have to, mask or figure out how to blend in, or figure out their, how to work through the nuances of society, and by that, altering how they act and look and feel, like do things so that they can fit in. I think Artemis would very much be a patron of those people. And so it absolutely makes sense to me that she would be a protector. Hold on, I'm also reading both chats. My brain is dying. Plus, too much of the situation from the internet has slowed down a lot of has shown a lot of negative consequences, yes. And that's right, we still don't know the long-term impacts of too much, stimulation. I know one, Victoria was watching TV late at night and then my eyes hurt this morning. I literally shut off the screen and like went to bed, and this is also one of the reasons they tell you to like get away from screens. It messes with your circadian rhythm that you naturally get by being outside and like the rising of the sun and sunset and all of that. We know that the lights from and blue light keeps us up and messes with our circadian rhythm. Again, being out of the natural state, right? Being out of the rhythm that our bodies tell us to be. That being said, my body can go shove itself because I do not want to go to sleep at 9:30 at night. I am not an old lady, goddammit. Exactly. Modern pagans have to hide in cities. Yes, that are anti-pagan. Exactly. All marginalized groups. Absolutely. And I mean, also there's that too. As a huntress, right? You have to make sure to not, at least if you, like, let me phrase this. As a huntress, you have to know how to hide. Right? Also increases anxiety, depression. Yeah, I know. I'm actually putting on the posture. And movement. Yes. We have to all make sure that we take breaks, because if you want to continue fighting the good fight of life, right? Then you need, thank you. Hydrate. Everybody take a drink right now, because I have only drank like 2 times during this stream. It's terrible. Everyone hydrate right now or die straight. You have the choice. I'm sorry, I can't. Chronically ill bitches, raise your hand. I don't know so much about the increased anxiety, depression, and aggression, because I don't know. I love you guys, and you know, Helena Carroll makes me happy. In fact, someone just posted that like Helena Carroll has like leave my hand alone weirdo. That like Helena Carroll has, you know, in the community has helped them through some rough stages in their life. They post it in Rays of Sunshine. I would encourage that everyone post their little ray of sunshine, whatever, regardless of what it is today, because practicing gratitude and taking time to notice the good moments in life actively help us counter those moments where time is like shit. And community is a very important aspect to that. That being said, please don't be on here at 4 o'clock in the morning. Go get some goddamn sleep. No one's here. It's actually not true. There was some conversation going on at 4 o'clock in the morning on the server I saw, and I was just like, why aren't you guys asleep? Oh yes, the world is round. Forgot. Too much stimulation, such as social media addiction. I see. Increased negative mental health impacts are more due to too much stimulation, such as social media addiction and internet in general. Yes, I know. Some of us are in Europe. Now you are, Mercury. You abandoned me here. I'm just stuck over here on this continent. It's just me. I don't even who mod team lives in the United States. I need to make a map. We need to make a map of the server. Lovers of game meat from the ethical hunt. Yes, keeping quiet and upset the hypersensitive vegans. Vegetarians, anti-meat warriors. I'm so sorry. I'm an asshole. Ash, I don't think you were here. We actually did mention earlier that Artemis, here it is. Artemis isn't just a goddess of hunting. She's a goddess of responsible hunting, not just killing for the sake of killing. And how we were talking about making sure, like, using all of the animal because we want to honor the thing that fucking died. However, I was and still am a little bit of an asshole. I have literally I've literally met those people in a very rude way. And they were shitty and being like, oh, like, you eat meat, you terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I just went and I was just like, excuse me. And I went to like the closest place. I just got meat, literally just meat, and went back and just stood there and ate it in front of them like an asshole. No, you were on the same continent, Mercury. I said continent. Plants are apparently also alive. Yes. So that's a new thing. That's newer though. That's yeah. Plants scream. Plants scream. Did y'all know this? Plants also communicate through their roots. So I just want to let you know that if you have a plant in a pot, you've put it in solitary confinement. It's literally just it's in you put it in jail in solitary confinement. How dare you? Mushrooms have what? I'm not surprised, but because plants. But what? Hunt is also needed, yes, to maintain ecosystems. Yes. Very important. That's where you left all your... That was great, Mercury. I love you so much. Yeah, that's true. We need, and that's why, we have things like, oh, you can't bring certain animals into certain places because they're an invasive species, which means, for anyone who doesn't actually know what that means, it means that they have no natural predator wherever you're trying to bring them. Which means that they could eat out the thing that they eat, yes. And they would get rid of, if that's a problem, 100%. But that also means that there's nothing killing them to stop them from eating too much. It's very important to understand, or at least be aware of the fact, because I think a lot of people aren't, or less people than I'd like to think, are informed at least about the concept of like, yeah, there has to be that balance in the ecosystems. You can't just, as much as I want a fucking ferret, they're illegal in California for a goddamn reason. God, they're so cute, but they're assholes. I have heard they're jerks. How does the Hermetic Saint system have such a cool joining screen? I don't know. Same with foraging. Yes, hunting is great done in moderation. If you forage, you can destroy the ecosystem. Exactly. You cannot no worries. I just read all the chats. Yes, and if you get rid of the trees, there are no places for the birds to live. If the birds don't live there, then I don't know. But like, there's no places for the squirrels to live. If you live in a gated community that doesn't have a lot of trees and stuff, you will notice this. And I will also say that, again, going back to the unseen things, like we're talking about the effect of for mental health and stuff, being in a place where you can see and hear birds and see nature, even if it's just a tree, actively, drastically improves mental health and mood. And when there are places without these things, even if they're still pretty, it's not the same. Because again, our meat sacks, this is what I usually tell people, our meat sacks have not caught up to the fact that we have technology. And technology grows at an exponential rate. Which means that you don't just go with like, here's a computer, now here's a computer that's slightly faster. No, you have all the bits in the computer. You're like, here's the computer, and we're going to use the computer to create a computer that's not slightly faster because we want to, optimize it as much as possible. We're going to create a computer that's going to work 3 times as fast. And that thing is going to help us be able to compute different codes. It's going to help us be able to figure out how to have better, MRI machines. How to tweak the codes so that we have so that our systems are less susceptible to malware, right? It impacts every aspect of the as technology grows, all of it grows, right? Yeah, the meat industry is not great. I agree that in general, meat and hunt, I would actually love, and I would honestly if I had the opportunity, I would absolutely do it as like a thing to Artemis, to be able to hunt and fix. I'm trying to be nice with the vocabulary here. Fix and eat my own meat. When I say fix, I mean prepare. That's the word, prepare. And prepare. It's kind of off topic, but it isn't because our religion has also changed, and modern technology has impact. We wouldn't be able to be here without it, right? Has impacted us in ways that we didn't think that it was probably going to impact, right? Including us being able to sit here and talk about Artemis in our homes, despite the fact that we're literally saying the entire time we should go the fuck outside and touch grass. Is a way that we've been impacted by the progression of technology. Also, through the progression of technology, which again has very little to do with Artemis, but we have learned about how awful some of these practices that we have for like the meat industry are, and how we can be more ethical in our consumption, which I will also say, I don't think people count this as like a devotional act, but researching things like this is one way that I would say, is a thing that I would say is a devotional act, because you're researching the topic of it, right? And that helps you be a better, more ethical consumer. Whether it be of, I don't know, t-shirts, cosplay costumes, or meat or veggies. Reading up on the computer, praise Hermes, about agriculture and planting, although yes, Demeter's domain, if you're doing it so that you can have your own fresh vegetables and not contribute to something that is destroying the environment, not just like the overall environment, but the environment as in the land, that is an aspect of, is part of the area that like Artemis is like covers in her domain. Yes, they can also, that's true. When you meet 30 crows who are you were attacked by crows. Were you? I'm sorry. I have a lot of Schadenfreude. I find that funny. For those of you who don't know what Schadenfreude is, it's when you get pleasure from people's slight misfortunes. Also, I did want to point out, we have a moon pie community ritual. I would like moon pie. I don't know what mugwort leaves look like or taste like, but I did not want to until this fucking recipe where it's like, you need both the leaves and like a small spoon for the mugwort. I don't understand. I will also befriend all the crows. One of the things, I don't say that I would do it, one of the things I do for Artemis, but it would definitely something that you could do. I will tend to throw food out for like squirrels and shit. So, and when I say that, I mean like I'll have a giant ass fucking carrot and I'll be eating the carrot and I will not finish. Like you could get really close to the top of the carrot if you wanted to. I will leave like a heft and chunk and throw it out for the squirrels and stuff to encourage more birds and squirrels and natural wildlife to be able to exist in the areas around my house. They smell your fear. The gods and their message. Yeah, exactly. They wake you up. When I went on a little trip, I went for like a little staycation, like 2 hours away from my house out in like the mountains, San Bernardino Mountains. And waking up to birds is an amazing experience. I had never experienced, like, because like there was no other sound. We were so up high in the mountains, there was no other sound. Like there was no cars. It was so far away from like the city. Hey, baby girl. Do you need help? She doesn't like the towel the way I've put it for her. I know my fur babies so well. It's really funny. But yeah, we went up there and like waking up to the sound of birds, like natural birds, like just chirping, whatever. It was so surreal and it was genuinely like changed my morning experience. Taxes, gas prices, inflation. Yes, those are scary. Ooh, I want bird videos. Oh my god, really? Hail, that's insane. In the middle of the summer. I was gonna say it's been oddly nice weather here in California, but oh my gosh. But today it's gonna get hot. But so that is our chapter on Artemis. We do have the rituals that always are at the end of the section, as well as the citations, sources, whatever. This book is making me want to actually finish reading Greek religion, but that book hurt my brain. So next time we will be talking about Aphrodite. Aphrodite, 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 the goddess of love. All right, everyone, thank you for joining. I am going to be heading off now, at least off of stream. And Thank you all for participating and sharing your stories and thoughts. And yeah, it does not look good. We're too cool. I don't think you have too much humorous at all. I see the joking. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. May the gods bless you on your journeys. Before my cat bites my hand off because she wants me to pet her,